The Broncos are going to lose today. That is a stupid idea.
Jackson is not a top 5, not even a top 10 quarterback.
Madden 21 was so bad.
Used Game Store and bought a PlayStation 3 to play the old NCAA
Talking
games.
about, wanting to inspire and like, I'm inspired right now. I want to run through a brick wall for you right now.
Mountain after mountain to make this dream come a reality.
We don't see it. Just because we don't feel it doesn't mean he's not working.
Exactly. And, man, I want to thank you, first of all. We didn't really get to talk in the beginning, but, that's my boy, that dude 2020. I like the name. Where's the name?
By LeBron James on Twitter.
And it really wasn't that difficult at the time for the ball when you hit the ground. And he didn't.
Thank you all so much for tuning in to That One Dude 2020 right on the MI6 Sports Network. Enjoy the show. God bless. What is up, folks? Ready for another episode of That One Dude 2020 on the MI6 Sports Network. If y'all don't know who he am, of course, he's Mike, the Beast National Champion. He can play 82%, nearly 82% of his field goals at the Ohio State, beating Miami. I love seeing that, my man. But how are we doing today?
Appreciate you having me.
Of course. If people kind of don't know who you are, let me make this kind of very abundantly clear. And this is where, folks, kickers and place kickers don't get the respect that they deserve. So that's kind of why I've been seeing your stuff. I know for who you are. I know multiple game-winning drives, but kind of also want to have you on for people that maybe don't understand why place kickers or kickers don't get the respect that for sure that they deserve.
Gotcha. Yeah, I can. After 16 years and then 4 college, I can definitely answer questions like that. So that's no problem.
Gotta ask you though, man. Of course, you were at Ohio State. Y'all beat, of course, Miami. That they were the national champions the year before. What was the biggest lesson or most humbling lesson you learned on or off the field?
I think, especially with that game, just the expectations out of ourselves. I don't want to sound like kind of the cliche, just, we were the underdogs. We had nothing to lose, like things like that. But that's why they're cliches, because a lot of them can be true. And going into that game, we just knew, okay, if we get destroyed by Miami, that's what everyone's expecting to happen. But what if we just come out hot from the start and scare them a little bit and maybe make a difference throughout the game and win this game? And so I think everyone at home really believed that. And if you were any kind of college football fan and you were a betting football fan, you're betting on Miami in that game. I couldn't even tell you what the spread was for it, but it really was one of those games where we had nothing to lose. So why not just go out and give it everything we have, and maybe we can win this thing. And looking back on it, just seeing the names that were on the field at one point, 22 guys on the field, I feel like 12 or 13 of them played at least 5 years in the NFL. It was just kind of a who's who of guys with great futures in that game.
Of course, man. Of course, guys like Sean Taylor, Ed Reed, all of those guys from Miami. But I always love Miami losing all the time. It's always a lot of fun. Huge college football fan for sure. But I got to ask you, though, especially in college, you look at place kickers and kickers. For some reason, they don't get the respect that they deserve, being a quarterback-driven league. But why do you think, in your opinion, of course, you've done phenomenal in college and the NFL, why do you think place kickers, either in college, don't get the respect that they deserve?
You know what? I think it's one of those things. You do get the respect when you really, really, really perform. You got a guy like Justin Tucker, who just year in and year out, he doesn't miss field goals. Every time he goes on the field, they're probably a good chance they're getting 3 points out of it. Well, I think it's 9.1 out of 10 times he's going to make it. So I'm guessing he's at least 90%. And a guy like that is really going to earn it, really going to get some good notoriety. And he's also got a personality that's kind of fun to watch him on the field. But when it comes to kickers and any guys like in college and the NFL, it's one of those things where you're quiet. You don't want a lot of attention. If you're getting a ton of attention, you're either incredible or you're doing really bad. And but if you can kind of sit there in the upper middle part of it where no one's talking about you, but nobody's also worried about you as well. So I think getting the respect, no kickers are really out there thinking like, oh, I should get paid more. Everyone wants to make more money. Like no matter what, it's like, I want to get paid more, but everyone's out there thinking like, I feel as though I'm getting paid what I deserve. This is what I've earned. And I get to kick a football and get paid to do it. So if you can kind of stay positive in that respect of it, your performance is going to get you, the positive attention off the field.
Without a doubt, man, I will say that one of my biggest memories of college football, again, UT fan, or Ohio State, maybe there's something there, but Justin Tucker, again, it's not just Justin, a huge fan of him, and of course, of you, and huge college football fan. The kickers, I think, I understand you talk about like ego or like you getting the attention because when it's time and you deliver, they love you. But sometimes it's just like, oh, let's trust the quarterback. And that's where I think the frustration ends, though. But I got to ask you, like, going through that process from the starting of that season to beating Miami, which I love saying that every single time, what was that process like game by game and trying to understand what it takes to be a national champion in college football?
Well, you know what was nice for me being on playing for a guy like Jim Tressel, it wasn't the, throwing 500 yards a game and scoring 8, 9, 10 touchdowns a game. It was, let's get the ball down the field, run the ball a lot. And if we only get 3 points, that's great. Let's get 3 points 5 or 6 times. And throughout that season, we weren't blowing teams out. Even teams we should have blown out, we might have snuck by them maybe on the last play of the game. But really we got to a really tough point where I think it was between us. I might be wrong. It was us, Miami, and Oklahoma going into the last week. I think we were all undefeated, but we were number 3, and Miami and Oklahoma were 1 and 2. So if all 3 of us would have won our last games, we would have never made the national championship. But luckily, I think it is Oklahoma. Oklahoma lost, which then we passed them and got to number 2. And so, that could have been one of those seasons. That game might never have existed if Oklahoma would have won their last game, but them winning or losing their last game really helped us get in. Or actually not helped us, it got us in.
Seeing you say the words Oklahoma loses is like Christmas to my ears, Mike, being a UT fan. Of course, all of the drama and things of college football. So love seeing that, definitely. But one comment came in from Shredder Gupta. He says, Mike, what are your greatest memories playing as a member of the Ohio State Buckeyes football team? And who's your favorite teammate you liked playing with?
Probably my best memory was definitely that game, the Miami game in 2002. But I'd say individually, we played Marshall my senior year and didn't have close to as strong of a team as we did this was my 2004 season. So 2002 and 2003 were our very talented, just phenomenal football teams, but tailed off a little bit. And I think we only finished around 7-4 my senior year, but we played against Marshall at home and I got to hit a real long field goal to win that game. So that was cool to be able to hit a game winner to finish the game with no time on the clock. That was probably my favorite memory individually. And I'd say my favorite teammate I played with, actually a guy I've known and played with, since I was in 6th grade and he was in 5th grade, was AJ Hawk. AJ, he was just so talented. He always played up a grade until he got to high school. And then, so played on my team in 5th grade when he was in 5th and I was in 6th. And then we played 3 years in high school, 3 years in college, and then also got to play 1 year for the Bengals. So that was pretty cool to be able to go through the years. And we actually, both of us married girls from the same high school. And so we don't live too far apart. So we've kind of gone through the ranks together. I definitely don't have a Super Bowl ring in my house, and he does. But I would say that's the guy I was most excited to be able to say I got to play with.
Gotta ask you though, man. I know you were drafted by the New York Jets in 2002, I believe the 47th overall pick in the 2nd round. What was it like playing for the Jets? Because we know Bill Belichick 2 years before decided not to be a part of that organization. What was it like being in that locker room with the Jets versus, let's just say, like the Cincinnati Bengals?
You know what? It was tough at first. You're coming into a team, you got guys in their 30s, and I was 22, 23-year-old kid who didn't at that point, didn't kick one field goal in the NFL and really had to earn the respect from the guys around me. So it was tough because I was replacing a guy who actually had just an amazing career, and he did really well. He actually had an amazing season the season before I replaced him, but he missed a couple field goals in Pittsburgh to win the game, to I think go to the AFC Championship game. So that really weighed heavy on the team, and I think they were thinking, long term when it came to drafting me. So it was a tough position to come into. Not to mention just that's a tough division and tough weather. So you always wish you could go back and fix a few things and do a little bit better. But I was glad with my experience there. I got to play for Herm Edwards. He was just incredible. And then my last 3 years, I had Eric Mangini was our coach for the last 3 years, and it was a good experience in New York. I got injured my first game of my last season, so I didn't get to finish the year, my fourth year there, and then just moved on after that. But great experience.
Can I ask you, kind of going to like the past year, like we talked about what you were capable of, what you've done literally at 81.8 completion percentage in college, 81% in the NFL. Kind of going all the way back to high school, kind of like a throwback here. We saw you kicking field goals for greater than 50 yards, 24 for 27 field goals, kicking literally 55-yarder, I believe.
Yeah.
Seeing what people saw what you were capable of already in high school. My question though is to you, where or which NFL player did you model your game after?
So there's a guy named Jeff Wilkins who played had a good long career. I want to say he played about 14 years, and he won a Super Bowl with the Rams, went to 1 or 2 Pro Bowls, and he actually played for Jim Tressel at Youngstown State. So he kind of became my mentor as I was coming to Ohio State. And he was just one of those guys that really opened up to me and said, no question is too far. Like, ask me anything you want. I'm here to help you, because he had the same kind of mentor before him. A guy named Paul McFadden, who actually was a barefoot kicker for Philly for a long time. So he felt like he had such a great relationship with him. He wanted to do the same with someone younger. So Jeff was just a massive help to me. Not only did we kick together all the time when we were going to camps or coaching camps together or doing something together, that was great to kick together, but also just to, sit down, have a lunch, have a dinner together, and just talk and just see. He told me so many things, like what is the NFL like, and so many truths about the NFL. And it really kind of, I feel like, mentally set me up to succeed a little bit down the road.
For sure, man. Of course, I saw game-winning field goals with the Bengals, but I got to ask you, though, we talk about football on and off the field, but what has been like your greatest favorite memory, specifically off the field? What would be your favorite off the field with the you play with?
Sorry, I lost you there on that question.
So I know what you've done in the NFL, but talk about football, talk about brotherhood, talk about before on there. What has been like your favorite memory with your teammates, your friends off the field when it wasn't game week?
You know what? I would definitely say, like, as you get into the NFL and you get to meet certain players, you also get to meet, your wives hang out a lot. And anyone knows that when you're married, the wives do such a great job of making plans and getting us out of the house, when we get home from practice. So I think the wives getting together and having us do certain things around the community, or just going out to dinner with friends, I think that goes a really long way. So just the memories you create and the relationships you create with your teammates off the field is it's incredible. It makes it feel like, okay, it's not just football every day. Like, I go to football as my job, and then I come home to my family, but I also get to hang out with these guys outside, which is a lot of fun. Sorry, can you hear me?
Apologize. I don't know what I'm doing. Mike is literally right next to the router. I apologize.
No, I don't want to blame you. It could definitely be me.
Yeah.
I apologize.
No, I would never throw you under the bus. We're getting out. That's not gonna happen. But I gotta ask you though. We see kickers in the NFL for some reason. I don't know if it's the organization or kickers can't be consistent, but we see kickers that don't last. You saw Matt Prater with the Broncos for some reason got in trouble. It was something insane. Goes to the Lions, but you see one guy, Justin Tucker, and maybe you see a couple other guys. But in your opinion, spending some time in maybe the organization didn't value as much, but why do you think kickers don't stay with the same franchise their whole career?
You know what? I think it kind of goes back and forth when it comes to the kickers and the organizations. I think these days kickers have gotten so unbelievably talented and so accurate, and on top of that, just so strong that it's just such a more competitive field. So guys are making field goal after field goal and just being so unbelievably consistent. So those are numbers that you're now comparing. When I came into the league, 80% was a good year. Like, you're going to keep your job. You did well. Maybe you can have a better year next year and go to the Pro Bowl and be at like 86 to 88%. Now, 80%, you're going to get released, or close to that, depending on, if it's just a down year for you. But 85%, I feel like the average has gone up. I don't know the exact numbers, but I feel like 85% is now average. So if you're above 85%, it's like, okay, you had a good year. But if you're below 85, it's like, all right, we're going to bring somebody in to compete. Or sometimes it's just like they talk about, you just get in that rut that you can't get out of. I got in a rut with extra points in 2016 in Cincinnati. And in my mind, a 33-yard extra point felt like a 60-yarder. I just, for some reason, created this kick that was so hard. If I go out and hit a 47-yarder, it's no problem. But this 33-yard extra point, the one I should make, that just gets in your head. If you miss one, and then, okay, you miss one the next game. And I think I missed two in one game against Buffalo, and we ended up losing by losing by 5. So I played a big role in losing and helping lose that game, because we're going down to score a touchdown, where if I made those 2 extra points, we'd only be kicking a field goal right now. So it's just one of those things that it's so competitive now because guys have gotten so good and so talented. And I will say on the ownership side and the team organization side, the leash is a lot shorter than it used to be. It used to be, you miss a couple kicks, like, hey, you're our guy. Like, everything's going to be fine. We'll get it next week. Now it's like you'll see a guy miss 2 field goals in one game and he's out. And instead of saying, hey, we'll give him another chance. Great quarterback throws 3 picks in one game. He's really down on himself. But the coaching staff is like, all right, well, he's our quarterback. We're not going to move on. So it's one of those things. It's just like, I think the leash is a lot shorter, but the leash is shorter because there's more guys out there and talent has really grown.
For sure, man. Of course, you talk about competition. Last year, I understand you spent some time with the Cardinals. Zane Gonzalez goes down with an injury. What was that locker room like? Because we talk about the DeAndre Hopkins catch, but what was that locker room like, as you could say, as a brotherhood for the Arizona Cardinals?
I think that was a really good locker room. Cliff Kingsbury, he's a great guy to play for, and he surrounded himself with great coaches to play for. And the atmosphere in there is great. I think, I can't speak for everybody, but looking at it, everyone was probably pretty disappointed in last season because it was such a talented team. And you could just tell every week we never played really up to our standard. We kind of, there were some games on the schedule where it's like, how in the world did we lose this game? But there was also other ones where, like that catch, like what an unbelievable game, unbelievable catch. And so I guess it might even out because we beat some great teams, but we lost to some teams that those losses should never have happened. So I think everyone was a little bit disappointed because it was just a much more talented team than our record showed.
Totally understand that, though. But Mike, obviously, you time in the NFL. Like, what is the next thing in your life, whether it's the NFL or I believe you started some new career here? What are you most looking forward to whenever you do decide to retire from the NFL?
Yeah, like retiring from the NFL I would say it's a done deal, but I'm not ready to say like I'll never kick a ball in the NFL again. But I built a home here in Columbus, Ohio, about a year and a half ago, and just fell in love with the process. I enjoyed the relationship with my builder so much. I actually just started working for him about 2 weeks ago here in Columbus, and I really love it so far. And I think it'll be something I'm definitely looking forward to the rest, in this next chapter of my career.
For sure, definitely look forward to kind of seeing what you're up to in the future. Like we say, we can't thank you enough for coming onto the show, and like it's basically like contributing to sports career. But folks, before we go, like we do every single week or every single episode, let's go to this afternoon's final thoughts. Mike, yet again, thank you so much for coming onto the show.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
what are so your final thoughts, or kind of do you have any shout outs for what you're doing, or potentially some big projects you could be working on in the future?
You know what, to be honest with you, I try to do some work with cancer-free kids. I definitely did a lot of work with them when I lived in Cincinnati, so it's not as easy now, but that's something I continue to support every year, and hopefully we can grow that charity and keep things going for them. I think they're making great strides, and it's just a cause that hits me home, or hits dear to me, hits at home a little bit. And other than that, just excited to see what football brings this year. I wish I could say, after having a full-time job now, I don't get to watch as much TV or news or even football stuff. So I love the Pat McAfee show, so I get all my football info from him and see what he's got to say. But excited to see next season. I think I'm going to morph into one of those fans who just can't wait for next year's football season to come along.
For sure, man. We'd definitely like to have you on again. But like you said, doing that, what you're doing with the research is definitely something that's very passionate. Having worked with kids, that is definitely something a lot of us, I think, can be passionate about. But again, Mike, we would love to have you on again towards the season, because I promise you, man, you're never going to see anybody more passionate about football. I nearly woke up the neighbors here when certain incidents in the football world happened last year. But again, yeah. Mike on the MI6 Sports Network on that one, dude, 2020. But again, Mike, thank you so much for coming on. We'll stay in touch, and definitely got to have you on closer when the season starts.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me. Don't hesitate to ask.
Sure, man. We'll stay in touch. Anyways, y'all, Mike, have a good one, man.
Thanks, you too.
What is up?
The Broncos are going to lose today. That is a stupid idea.
Jackson is not a top 5, not even a top 10 quarterback.
Madden 21 was so bad.
We used Game Store and bought a PlayStation 3 to play the old NCAA
Talking
games.
about, wanting to inspire, and like I'm inspired right now. I want to run through a brick wall for you right now.
Mountain after mountain to make this dream come a reality.
We don't see it. Just because we don't feel it doesn't mean he's not working.
Exactly. And, man, I want to thank you, first of all. We didn't really talk in the beginning, but, that's my boy, that dude 2020. I like the name.
Blocked by LeBron James on Twitter.
And it really wasn't that